Right, we're a bit behind time, but that shouldn't worry us. Thank you, Jan Philipp. Off to our next team, and that's all about fertility. I just counted before in the team, and we said, when will we expect the corona spike of newborns? And we expected that given the lockdown being in Germany in March, so we'll soon see it. There's going to be a lot of Christmas babies, and I think that's also positive for you, Leah, right?
Yeah, that might happen. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And maybe first of all, just very briefly, I looked at the other 7 startups selected, and you guys are working on so substantial and highly complex topics. So I'm humbled to stand beside you tonight, and really enjoyed and am enjoying your presentation. So that's just that. And so I will use my next 2.5 minutes. I'm going to talk about Avery, of course, and since it's not so much time, I do it without slides. So yes, what is Avery about? We are changing our mindset around fertility, because we're getting older and older when we're having our first children. So in that aspect, our society has changed tremendously over the past decades. But our bodies didn't get the memo, and truth be told, they never will. And actually what hasn't changed is how we deal with our fertility. So our mindset is still so reactive when it comes to that topic, and we only ever think about our fertility when we actually want to have children. However, for many of us today, that means that our most fertile days actually have long passed. And so here we see an immense information gap, which we want to close. And so how do we do that? We partnered up with a German laboratory and developed an at-home fertility test for women. And yes, we know that men are 50% part of the equation, but we needed to start it somewhere. And so we took the female side. We are also working on the male side though. And why an at-home fertility test, and what does it do? I think in general, we can say that our fertility journeys have become very individual. So where it was getting married and having children, today everyone has having their very personal path towards children. But we believe that all these different journeys, they have one thing and one step in common, and that is understanding your own fertility. And we also believe that that is the first step, no matter where you are at your fertility journey. And so the question to us was, can you test and understand your personal fertility? And actually you can. So it is the very first blood test every fertility clinic does once you visit one, which almost like, or nobody lightheartedly does, because for many it's kind of the last resort step. And so they do this blood work with venous blood. And what we did with our laboratory is checking whether we can bring this blood test, which now is only happening at fertility clinics, whether we can bring that to people's homes. And so basically we were checking whether we can test these hormones in capillary blood, as well as clinics can do it in venous blood. And so it turns out we can. And so what Avery Fertility is doing today is that we're driving education campaigns around fertility and easing access to the first step to everyone's fertility journey. So enabling today women to a more proactive and also preventive handling of their fertility. Yeah, this is what we do today. I personally believe that the fertility space will fundamentally change in the upcoming years. So I think what the education around contraception was in the past decades, probably the education about fertility will be for the future decades. And I think it will change in 2 dimensions. So first, how we personally will deal with our fertility in a much more proactive way. So I think you will start thinking about your fertility in your early 20s, mid-20s, and then I'll kind of keep track. And so it won't be such a blank spot as it is today. And second, the digitalization of reproductive medicine. So where we're today starting with an at-home fertility test and having your results online and then kind of checking them throughout the years, I think that the whole fertility journey will much more digitalize. I think the generations to come won't accept not tracking their IVF cycle within an app. So yeah, I think we're starting with the first step of your fertility journey, and with Avery, we are here to drive and facilitate that change in the upcoming years. Yeah.
Leah, thank you very much for your pitch.